The gavel struck like thunder, echoing in the silent courtroom as the verdict was read. Emily Parker sat frozen, eyes wide, her hands trembling beneath the table, as if the sound itself tore open wounds left unhealed. Across the room, Daniel Reed whispered, "It will be all right," yet even his steady voice faltered with doubt. Alex Carter, restless and impatient, muttered, "They're blind, all of them," kicking the wooden bench. Michael Hayes avoided their gaze, jaw tight, a storm hidden behind calm features. At the edge of the gallery, Victoria Shaw watched in silence, lips curving into a faint, unreadable smile. Outside, the rain began to fall, tapping against tall windows like nature's own gavel. Sarah Miller hovered like a ghost, unseen but felt, as though justice had slipped through the cracks once more, leaving only questions behind. The narrator carried the weight of silence, painting a picture of justice gone astray. Emily Parker whispered, "It wasn't supposed to end this way," clutching her sleeve as if fabric could anchor her. Alex Carter rolled their eyes, muttering, "You never believed me." Daniel Reed placed a steady hand on her shoulder, offering warmth yet carrying a shadow in his gaze. Michael Hayes leaned back in his chair, voice low and calm, saying, "This isn't over." Victoria Shaw lingered near the doorway, unmoved, her presence a reminder that not all truths desired light. And as the courtroom emptied, Sarah Miller's essence seemed to follow, carried in the echoes of every step. The rain outside grew heavier, drumming against the courthouse steps as they emerged. Emily Parker paused beneath the awning, staring at the storm as though it mirrored her turmoil. Alex Carter sneered, "Storms always reveal the cracks." Daniel Reed pulled his coat tighter, guiding her toward the car. Michael Hayes lit a cigarette, muttering, "Rain washes nothing clean." From across the street, Victoria Shaw lingered under an umbrella, poised and untouchable, while the ghost of Sarah Miller seemed to weave between raindrops. The car door slammed with a hollow echo as they gathered inside. Emily Parker whispered, "We lost them." Alex Carter snapped, "We never had them." Daniel Reed turned steady but tired, saying, "We'll try again." Michael Hayes adjusted the mirror, jaw unyielding, declaring, "We go forward." Outside the windshield, Victoria Shaw's silhouette lingered blurred in rain. Sarah Miller hovered in the back seat, unseen but shaping the silence. The narrator whispered of unresolved truths as headlights cut through wet streets. Emily Parker stared at the unread letter tucked in her bag, never opened, its weight greater than stone. Alex Carter tapped impatient fingers, repeating, "You're afraid of answers." Daniel Reed's eyes softened in the rearview mirror, voice low, "Some truths break more than they mend." Michael Hayes drove on, each turn deliberate, determination forged in silence. Yet Victoria Shaw's shadow followed from afar, headlights trailing. Sarah Miller drifted like a ghostly hum between them, a reminder of the case that refused to die. The morning light crept through blinds, fractured into stripes across the motel room walls. Emily Parker sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the unopened letter, her silence heavy. Daniel Reed brewed coffee at the counter, his voice low, "You don't have to face it alone." Alex Carter leaned against the dresser, arms crossed, muttering, "You're both wasting time." Michael Hayes stood near the door, posture sharp, saying, "We move when we're ready, not when fear tells us." Victoria Shaw appeared at the window outside, her reflection sharp against the glass, unreadable. Sarah Miller's presence lingered in the room, her ghost-like form flickering in the fractured light, as if reminding them the past was far from buried. The group stepped outside into a gray morning, streets still wet from night rain. Emily Parker whispered, "Every place feels the same when you're running from ghosts." Daniel Reed adjusted his coat, steady tone, saying, "Ghosts only follow if we let them." Alex Carter kicked at a puddle, replying, "You've all let them follow for too long." Michael Hayes scanned the street, cautious eyes flicking to shadows, declaring, "We can't afford mistakes." Victoria Shaw stood across the road under an umbrella, watching without expression. Sarah Miller's reflection shimmered faintly in the puddle, like a memory refusing to fade. They gathered in the diner, neon signs buzzing faintly outside. Emily Parker stirred her untouched coffee, whispering, "Every lead dies before it begins." Daniel Reed leaned forward, steady tone. "We chase them anyway." Alex Carter smirked. "Maybe you're too afraid to see the truth." Michael Hayes sat near the edge of the booth, muttering, "Truth doesn't matter without proof." Victoria Shaw entered with quiet grace, slipping into a corner booth, her gaze unwavering. Sarah Miller's ghost-like outline lingered by the jukebox, frozen in an old song no one else could hear. The map spread across the table showed paths already walked, and leads long gone cold. Emily Parker traced a finger over one name, whispering, "It always comes back here." Daniel Reed nodded, voice firm. "Then we start there again." Alex Carter scoffed, "You'll never see what I see." Michael Hayes leaned in, eyes narrowed, replying, "We'll see enough to make it count." Victoria Shaw hovered at the doorway, silent but present, her gaze calculating. Sarah Miller flickered across the map's surface like a memory, etched into the paper itself. Night fell again too quickly, their shadows stretched across empty streets. Emily Parker said softly, "The truth hides in silence." Daniel Reed replied, "Then we break the silence." Alex Carter muttered, "You're too late for truths." Michael Hayes tightened his coat, voice hard, "Late doesn't mean finished." Victoria Shaw followed at a distance, her figure cutting through the mist. Sarah Miller's ghostly form glided between them, an echo of the night that had shattered everything, and the only reminder of what remained at stake. The abandoned warehouse creaked under the weight of silence, rusted beams towering above them. Emily Parker's breath fogged in the cold, whispering, "It feels like the walls remember what happened." Daniel Reed shined his flashlight across graffiti-stained walls, muttering, "Places hold secrets longer than people do." Alex Carter kicked a can, the echo sharp, saying, "You'll never find answers in dust." Michael Hayes studied footprints in the dirt, voice steady, "Someone's been here recently." Victoria Shaw appeared in the shadows, her presence both calm and commanding. Sarah Miller's ghost-like figure shimmered faintly against a cracked window pane, as though she belonged to the ruins themselves. The air grew heavier as they moved deeper inside. Emily Parker whispered, "I hear echoes in here." Daniel Reed steadied her shoulder, answering, "Echoes are just reminders, not truths." Alex Carter sneered, "You're scared of the truth because it hurts." Michael Hayes drew his gun, voice low, "We need to be ready for whoever left those tracks." Victoria Shaw stood calmly near the steel stairs, her eyes unreadable. Sarah Miller's ghost-like reflection rippled across an oil slick on the floor, bending reality with her presence, as if reminding them this place was tied to her end. They found a locked metal cabinet against the far wall. Emily Parker whispered, "This could be it." Daniel Reed pulled at the rusted handle, muttering, "If it's locked, it mattered to someone." Alex Carter grinned faintly, "You'll wish it stayed shut." Michael Hayes broke the lock with steady force, saying, "Truth doesn't hide forever." Victoria Shaw stepped closer, her poise unshaken, eyes fixed on the cabinet. Sarah Miller's ghost-like presence flickered across its surface, as though her reflection was waiting to be released with what lay inside. The cabinet creaked open, revealing boxes of old files stained with time. Emily Parker reached for a folder, her hands trembling, whispering, "These names. I know them." Daniel Reed leaned closer, voice firm, "This is what they didn't want us to find." Alex Carter smirked, muttering, "Now you'll see why I never trusted any of you." Michael Hayes' jaw tightened as he flipped through another folder, saying, "This goes deeper than we thought." Victoria Shaw remained composed, her faint smile betraying knowledge she should not have. Sarah Miller hovered behind the papers, her ghost-like outline merging with names inked in the files. The tension thickened as the sound of footsteps echoed through the warehouse. Emily Parker gasped, whispering, "Someone's here." Daniel Reed lifted his flashlight, steady but tense, saying, "Stay behind me." Alex Carter smirked, finally, something real. Michael Hayes raised his gun, voice sharp, "Show yourself." Victoria Shaw tilted her head, calm even in the storm, as if expecting the intruder. Sarah Miller's ghost-like presence flared brighter, her eyes fixed on the shadows where the sound grew louder, as if she knew who was coming. The folder's final page slipped from Emily Parker's trembling hands, the inked signature burning into her memory. She whispered, "It was someone close." Daniel Reed leaned over, voice low, "This explains everything we couldn't." Alex Carter smirked bitterly, muttering, "Told you none of you could be trusted." Michael Hayes tightened his grip on the table edge, saying, "We've been chasing shadows while truth stood beside us." Victoria Shaw stepped forward slowly, her composure unshaken, and said softly, "Sometimes justice requires sacrifice." Sarah Miller's ghost-like outline shimmered brighter, her gaze fixed only on Victoria, as if the secret belonged to her all along. The silence cracked like glass. Emily Parker stammered, "You knew this whole time?" Daniel Reed's voice rose, "Victoria, what did you do?" Alex Carter slammed the cabinet shut, shouting, "She's been playing all of you." Michael Hayes drew a sharp breath, muttering, "Every lead. She fed it to us." Victoria Shaw's gaze never wavered. Her voice calm, "I gave you exactly what you needed to survive." Sarah Miller appeared in full glow, ghost-like form standing behind her, eyes shimmering with grief, as though she had waited for this truth to surface. The weight of betrayal settled heavy as Emily Parker whispered, "You used us to bury her." Daniel Reed stepped between them, voice shaking, "Sarah deserved better than lies." Alex Carter's eyes burned, saying, "She was my only friend." Michael Hayes' tone turned cold, "We trusted you, Victoria." Yet Victoria Shaw's lips curved faintly, her tone smooth. "You wouldn't have made it this far without me." Sarah Miller's ghost-like figure moved closer, reaching out toward Emily as if urging her to see deeper into the pain still unspoken. Emily Parker pressed her palms to her face, whispering, "We lost her because of you." Daniel Reed's voice broke, "All these years wasted." Alex Carter shouted, "You destroyed everything." Michael Hayes turned sharply toward the door, muttering, "We need to end this before it consumes us." Victoria Shaw lifted her chin with chilling grace, saying, "What you call destruction, I call protection." Sarah Miller's ghost-like glow flared, her image shaking as though she wanted to scream, but the sound remained trapped in silence. The storm outside rattled the warehouse roof as truth settled in. Emily Parker whispered, "Sarah's death was never chance." Daniel Reed's jaw tightened. She was silenced to protect someone powerful. Alex Carter hissed, "And she let it happen." Michael Hayes raised his voice, "We're not leaving until we know everything." Victoria Shaw remained unshaken, her calm a wall against their fury. Sarah Miller's ghost-like form hovered in the center, her faint smile filled with sorrow, as if she had waited for years just for this moment of revelation. The storm outside roared like a beast as the warehouse filled with voices raised to breaking. Emily Parker shouted, "She died because of your silence." Daniel Reed slammed his fist on the table, voice trembling, "You betrayed justice for power." Alex Carter sneered, "You all let her rot." Michael Hayes pointed his gun at Victoria Shaw, shouting, "Tell us everything before this ends tonight." Yet Victoria stood tall, composed as ever, her lips curling into the faintest smile. Sarah Miller glowed brighter than ever before, her ghost-like presence moving toward the center of them all, binding their rage into a single moment that could not be undone. Emily Parker clutched the letter at last, ripping it open with trembling hands. Her voice cracked, "Sarah wrote this. She knew." Daniel Reed steadied her arm, whispering, "Read it." Alex Carter hissed, "She tried to warn you all." Michael Hayes balked, "Read it out loud." Victoria Shaw's eyes glinted, her calm voice cutting through, "That letter was never meant for the living." Sarah Miller's ghost-like glow shimmered fiercely, her presence bending the air around Emily as if the letter itself had brought her spirit closer to breaking free. The words on the page cut like knives. Emily Parker whispered, "She begged us not to trust them." Daniel Reed's face darkened. She knew who it was. Alex Carter slammed his hand on the wall, muttering, "You ignored her cries." Michael Hayes growled, "This was never about solving. It was about covering up. Victoria Shaw stepped closer, her voice sharp. Sarah chose her fate. Sarah Miller's ghost-like form screamed in silence, her mouth open with no sound, her sorrow echoing across the space like thunder. The gun trembled in Michael Hayes' hands as he shouted, "Tell us the truth now!" Emily Parker begged, "Don't do this here." Daniel Reed said firmly, "Michael, we need her alive." Alex Carter snapped, "She doesn't deserve to breathe." Victoria Shaw raised her chin, her calm defiance unbroken. "The truth is already yours, but you fear it." Sarah Miller's ghost-like glow surged forward, standing between the gun and Victoria, her presence flickering like a shield woven from grief and love, stopping violence from sealing the final fate. The climax broke with lightning that lit the warehouse white. Emily Parker fell to her knees, crying, Sarah deserved more. Daniel Reed pulled her close, whispering, "We'll carry her truth." Alex Carter stormed toward the exit, muttering, "I can't be part of this lie." Michael Hayes lowered his gun at last, voice heavy, "Justice will burn, no matter the cost." Victoria Shaw walked into the storm, her silhouette swallowed by rain. Sarah Miller's ghost-like form lingered at the center, glowing faint, her eyes closing peacefully for the first time, as if the confrontation had finally freed her from silence. The storm faded into a cold dawn, its rain leaving streets glistening like broken glass. Emily Parker walked slowly, the letter folded tightly in her fist, whispering, "This won't bring her back." Daniel Reed placed a steady hand on her shoulder, voice low, "But it will carry her forward." Alex Carter kicked at the gravel, muttering, "You think truth fixes anything?" Michael Hayes scanned the horizon, voice flat, "Truth doesn't heal, it just stops the bleeding." Victoria Shaw trailed a few steps behind, her silence heavy as chains. Sarah Miller's ghost-like glow drifted between them, faint in the gray light, as though guiding them toward the next uncertain step. Inside the diner again, silence stretched longer than conversation. Emily Parker whispered, "Every word feels borrowed." Daniel Reed stirred his coffee, saying, "Borrowed or not, we'll speak it for her." Alex Carter rolled their eyes, muttering, "You'll never say it right." Michael Hayes sat stiffly, jaw tight, voice calm, "We'll tell it loud enough to be heard." Victoria Shaw sipped her tea with graceful indifference, murmuring, "Some stories aren't meant to be told." Sarah Miller shimmered faintly near the window booth, her ghost-like smile fleeting, as though reminding them that even silence was a form of truth. The courthouse steps loomed again, a place where justice had once failed them. Emily Parker stared upward, whispering, "We lost her here first." Daniel Reed nodded, his voice firm, "Then we'll honor her here too." Alex Carter spat bitterly, "Courts don't honor the dead." Michael Hayes clenched his fists, muttering, "They'll hear us whether they want to or not." Victoria Shaw stood with perfect posture, murmuring, "Justice has always been about who listens, not who speaks." Sarah Miller's ghost-like form lingered on the stone steps, as if waiting to see if the truth would finally echo back. The motel room grew quiet as night returned. Emily Parker folded Sarah's letter carefully, placing it on the nightstand, whispering, "She'll rest here now." Daniel Reed sat by the window, voice calm, "Her fight's not finished, but it's no longer silent." Alex Carter muttered from the corner, "Silence is safer." Michael Hayes replied, "Not anymore." Victoria Shaw lay back in the chair, eyes closed, murmuring, "Justice is never free." Sarah Miller's ghost-like glow filled the room briefly, soft and warm, her presence calmer, as if she too was beginning to let go. The city lights blurred through rain-streaked glass as the car moved quietly down the highway. Emily Parker whispered, "We'll never let her vanish again." Daniel Reed answered, "We'll carry her name in every word." Alex Carter muttered, "Names don't stop the world from forgetting." Michael Hayes gripped the wheel firmly, voice sharp, "Then we'll make them remember." Victoria Shaw sat silently in the back seat, her shadows stretched in the passing glow, unreadable as ever. Sarah Miller's ghost-like form floated between them, her eyes closing slowly, peaceful at last as the road carried them all into tomorrow. The cemetery lay still beneath gray skies, rain dripping from bare branches. Emily Parker knelt before a headstone whispering, "I should have been there." Daniel Reed stood behind her, voice heavy. "You carried her when no one else would." Alex Carter kicked at wet earth, muttering, "She deserved more than stones." Michael Hayes folded his arms, saying, "What matters is, we didn't let her disappear." Victoria Shaw lingered near the gate, her expression unreadable, a shadow refusing to vanish. Sarah Miller's ghost-like form shimmered by the grave, her face calm, as though she finally belonged to the silence around her. The rain lightened to a drizzle as Emily Parker touched the engraved name, whispering, "Well, keep you alive in memory." Daniel Reed placed a rose on the grave, voice steady, "Her story doesn't end here." Alex Carter turned away, muttering, "Stories don't change what's gone." Michael Hayes said coldly, "But stories keep the guilty awake at night." Victoria Shaw adjusted her coat, murmuring, "The truth will twist until someone else carries it." Sarah Miller's ghost-like figure leaned close to Emily, her faint smile bittersweet, as if thanking her without words. The group walked slowly from the graveyard path. Emily Parker whispered, "She walks with us still." Daniel Reed answered, "Her silence became our voice." Alex Carter scoffed, muttering, "Voices fade just like everything else." Michael Hayes tightened his fists, saying, "Not if we make them listen." Victoria Shaw's steps remained graceful, her eyes fixed ahead, unreadable. Sarah Miller floated behind them, ghost-like form following the path, her figure thinning as if dissolving into the mist, leaving only the weight of memory. The motel window framed the night sky, neon lights flickering faintly. Emily Parker whispered, "She'll never truly leave." Daniel Reed, seated nearby, replied, "Her absence keeps us moving." Alex Carter muttered, "Absence breaks more than it builds." Michael Hayes looked out, voice steady, "But justice demands pieces, not comfort." Victoria Shaw leaned back in her chair, murmuring, "Justice is a story no one finishes." Sarah Miller's ghost-like glow filled the room softly, her expression peaceful now, as though she had accepted her place between memory and eternity. The final scene unfolded on the empty street, rain glistening under street lights. Emily Parker whispered, "We'll carry her forever." Daniel Reed replied, "Her truth is ours now." Alex Carter muttered, "Truth won't save anyone." Michael Hayes said firmly, "But it will damn the guilty." Victoria Shaw walked away into the night, her shadow stretching long and thin. Sarah Miller's ghost-like figure remained in the center of the road, eyes closing, her final glow fading into darkness, leaving behind a single haunting silence that would echo in them forever.